Hey, this is Chris. Just one more piece of the puzzle this morning. I think what is going to end up happening here is I am just going to keep putting out these bite-sized pieces that everyone can digest easily in one sitting, and then by the time it's all over, and we've done about 100 of these, because I can easily see how it could go that many videos. Then you'll be able to see the big picture of the covenants and their importance to you and to me. And so this morning I just wanted to talk about specifically Romans 3:21. But now the righteousness of God has been manifested apart from the law, although the law and the prophets bear witness to it. Here we have, this is really the only time, and he's not addressing the covenant specifically, because that's not where he wants to go, but this is about as close as Paul ever gets to talking about the covenants. And what does he have to say? He says that there is this thing called the righteousness of God, that God has always desired for us to have. And in fact, when we are completely conformed to the image of Jesus Christ, we will have that perfect righteousness of God. We will have obtained that. We will, well, one might argue that simply by being saved, one has attained the righteousness of God. But I think what I'm really trying to say is we will fully experience it unhindered by any kind of the effects of sin. So, but God has desired to give us this righteousness. But look what he says. It has been manifested apart from the law. It is not a part of the law. The law was never intended nor designed to make people righteous. It just never was. And anyone who thinks it does is sadly mistaken, and this very verse here proves that they are sadly mistaken. But look what further it says, though. Although the law and the prophets bear witness to it. So it is no surprise. Go back through Torah, read your biblical, the history there. It was pointing towards something. It was pointing toward Jesus Christ. I mean, we know that now. But back then, there was a greater thing. It was more than just, Torah was more than just a definition of who Israel was. I mean, at its most basic definition, yes, Torah defined Israel. That was, Torah was the bedrock foundational law of the Old Covenant. So the Israelites were bound to follow it, and in following it, they found a certain amount of favor with God. In other words, the stipulations of the Old Covenant are, if you follow Torah, then you shall be blessed, and you shall be blessed not in an eternal way, not in a life after death kind of way, because Torah does not even begin to start to address that. It was about Israel being the people of God. It was about Israel living securely in their own land. It was about Israel being blessed for obeying God. And that is as far as it goes. Now, of course, Torah did provide for a reconciliation of, you didn't have to follow Torah perfectly in order to have a covenant relationship with God. You did the best that you could, and when you failed, which was inevitable, then God provided a means for you to restore that covenant relationship by offering up an animal sacrifice. But it is a completely performance-driven covenant. There isn't any like spiritual backdrop in operation there. There's no hidden secret thing. It is what it is. And it, being Torah and the prophets, they showed they were for Israel, mostly. But they were also pointing the way towards something better. And that's what Paul's saying here. Jesus Christ came and he said, I have not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. When we look at what Jesus says there in the light of what Paul says here, then it's clear to me, and it should be clear to anyone, that the fulfillment that Jesus is talking about is the fulfillment that came from the simple fact that Jesus was born, that Jesus existed as a man, that Jesus, it didn't have anything to do with what he was going to do. I hope you're following me. The very fact that it's like, how about, here's an example. Jesus goes to be baptized by John the Baptist in the River Jordan. And God says, this is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. Well, okay. Maybe he was. But, had he really done anything yet? He'd gone out into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan, but that was it. He obviously lived a perfect life, but he hadn't done any of the point is, that's the whole point is, he has not done, as of that point in time, anything to merit that kind of blessing from God. So Jesus' coming is what fulfills the law and the prophets. They bear witness to his coming. In other words, there's no surprise. And then, of course, and having the benefit of hindsight, 2020 hindsight, we can see exactly how, all the types and shadows of the law and all of the foretellings of the prophets lead towards, inexorably towards, that person who is, I would suggest to you, who is the righteousness of God. That Paul is really saying, I think that's the fullest, deepest meaning, isn't it? Jesus is the righteousness of God. And we, as the beneficiaries of his saving grace, we receive that. So, I've already gone 7, I just can't. It's too much. It's too much information. So I'm going to cut it off there. And next time we will, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I guess it'll be another 8-minute video. But anyway, I hope you see that, because it's so important. It is so important to see that there is a clear, there is a demarcation. One thing ends, right? And another thing begins. Torah and the prophets end. Their purpose has come to an end. And Jesus comes, and that's the beginning of the new. And now he carries forth with his covenant. It is his covenant with God, with the Father, on our behalf. The whole idea of vicarious substitutionary atonement. Hey, I just like to throw out theological terms every now and then. But seriously speaking, there was the old stopped. The old bore witness to the new, but it's not part of the new. It's not the rule anymore. The new rule is whatever Jesus says and what the apostles say in the New Testament. So think on that. In the next few days, I'll come up with another facet of this, and we'll talk about some more stuff. But yeah. It is really awesome to be. It is awesome to be saved by grace and not have to worry about following a bunch of rules. We are members of the new covenant. We are not members of the old covenant. We are not bound by Torah in any way, shape, or form. That's just the way it is. And I feel sorry. I really do. I feel sorry for Torah observant Christians. I feel sorry for anyone who follows a legalistic lifestyle, because God doesn't care about that. Got any questions or comments? Please do so in the section below. Like and subscribe. Really do appreciate when you do. Always encourage relevant discussion that is about the points that I've made in a certain video. I am not interested in, your quotes off some website somewhere. If you've got an original thought and you want to actually discuss what I've talked about, I'm all in. Alrighty? We will see you on the next one. God bless you.